Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Note Closer Show. It is Wednesday here in the office. It's good to be back in Austin, Texas. We did not have a show yesterday because I was traveling most of the day. But anyway, we have a lot of stuff going on this week here in Austin. Tomorrow night, we have the Tiki Happy Hour downtown with Quest IRA, where everybody gets laid. Hey, don't get no respect. All right. But most importantly, we have our Note Mastermind group coming into town Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening for the happy hour, and then spending Friday, Saturday, Sunday here with us in Austin, Texas. And so we're always excited about that. The Mastermind weekends are our four favorite weekends out of the year to really hang out, fellowship, and really help expand everybody's business and help everybody get their literally ducks in a row. Anyway, but today's topic is about breaking down a tape. Now, I'm not going to jump on the board behind me. I'm just going to go through some simple steps for you to do that everybody can do when it comes to breaking down a tape. And so that's not difficult. There's basically 5 or 6 things that you want to focus on. Now, when you get a tape in, the easiest thing that you can do is to filter it. And if you don't know spreadsheets, it's very easy to do. You just highlight the whole spreadsheet and then go up to your right-hand corner in Excel and hit filter, and then custom sort. And then you can sort it to sort it by states. That's what I do. If it's in, it's got 30 different states, they're not in any type of alphabetical order by state or city, that's the first thing that I do. Now, most of the time, the tapes will be organized by loan number, which is great for the seller because you'll need to submit your bids in by it. But for you to make it easy and simple, especially when it comes to your due diligence, sort it by city and state. Now, you'll also have a variety of different information on the tape. Sometimes you'll have first and second liens. Sometimes you'll have occupancy, where it's occupied, vacant, or occupied unknown. Or you'll have asset class type, where it's a single family home, townhome, PUD, mobile home, condo, all that kind of stuff. So the first thing that I like to do initially, like I said, is organize it by city, state, and then I'll also organize it by lien position. Now, I don't buy seconds, so if there is any seconds, I just go ahead and delete those off. There's no reason for me to waste my time with them, okay? The next thing I do is I go to property type. If there's mobile homes, I just delete them off. It's not worth wasting my time. Yes, I know some people love mobile home deals. That's great. You can waste your time with those. I'm not going to waste my time with them. All right? The idea is to eliminate the overwhelming emotion that most people feel when they're looking at hundreds of assets. I mean, we've literally had people break down at events because they're, where do I begin? Okay? And this is the first place that you begin. You just take the big tape and you crunch it down, narrow it down until you find something that makes sense for you. All right? So if you've gotten rid of the ugly properties like the mobile homes, if you've gotten rid of, another thing you get rid of is states you dislike. So like I go in and I delete off New York, New Jersey immediately. I don't waste my time with those. There are other states that I'll end up really kind of eliminating as well. It just depends. I'll look at if they've got property values, if they have current valuation. Usually the higher end valued homes, like over $500,000, unless it's in California or Vegas or Florida, if it's anywhere else, I go ahead and eliminate them. The only opportunity with those is really to foreclose. Excuse me, I'm a little bit of a cold, I'm a little verklempt right now. The only opportunity really with high-end assets is to foreclose and sell them, but you often will have foreclosures on those that drag out because borrowers that are living in those houses have friends and attorneys that can drag stuff out. So it's not worth really wasting your time unless they're vacant, all right? And you don't mind holding on and fighting out for foreclosures, but it's a lot of money to tie up, all right? So, states, lien position, property type, valuation, what's the lowest valued assets all the way to the highest valued assets. Now, like I said, I'll remove the higher valued assets over $500,000. And then I'll also go back and I'll eliminate the lower valued assets, usually $25,000 or $30,000 below, depending how big that tape is. Now, a lot of times, those lower valued assets will be in Michigan, they'll be in Ohio, and other areas. Doesn't mean they're bad assets. I made a lot of money early on buying low-valued condos in Florida that were valued at like 25, 30 grand. Well, they're now worth 100. So you have to know your markets. If you are buying in Cleveland or you're buying in Columbus or buying somewhere and you don't mind those lower value assets, by all means, don't eliminate them from your tape. Okay, what I'm trying to do is over the years, we have adjusted our business model that we're going to make money on assets 25 grand or greater, preferably 50 grand or greater, but anything below 25, usually you're going to lose money on unless it's a really clean asset, and it just doesn't happen a lot of times. So 25 below, we get greater, $500,000 or even $250,000 and above, greater, depending on where the tape is located. And now that gives us a narrowed down tape. Now, if your primary goal is for modifications to take place, where you can reinstate and have cash flow, very similar to the 250K model that we run for people, that you make it 250K your first year. If you've ever seen that PowerPoint, you can jump on SlideShare on Vimeo or YouTube and find that video. But anyway, if you're looking for occupied assets, which allow you the most amount of exit strategies, then what you would want to do next is go ahead, if there is a column on occupancy, go ahead and you remove all the vacant properties. That's going to be a big chunk, usually removed from the database or removed from the list for you. So, what does that leave you with? Well, it leaves you with states, houses at 25 grand to $250,000, occupied assets in states that you like, on properties that you like. Okay. Now, once we get to that point, usually we'll have 60, 70 assets depending on how big the tape is. Now, that's a much easier tape to map and dive into due diligence. So we'll take the whole tape at that point, and maybe 200 assets, who knows. Once we get to 200 assets or below, where we kind of narrowed down that final amount, we'll copy the whole spreadsheet, headers and everything, and go over to Batch Geo and map it. All right, now you may map it initially earlier on too. If you like states, there are some states that you like that you don't mind the foreclosures or you vet teams. I'll give you an example. Florida is one state I don't mind buying empty properties in because we've got a great crew and resources there, along with Texas. I would not eliminate those, but in other states where I'm not comfortable doing heavy rehabs or any type of rehab for the most part, I just go ahead and eliminate them unless they're occupied. Now, don't get me wrong. The rule of numbers is if I do buy 10 assets, not everyone's going to modify. I will have to foreclose. I will have to do some rehabs and things. That happens. Okay? But I don't go into Ohio looking for heavy rehabs. I don't go into Illinois looking for heavy rehabs. Okay? You have to identify the markets that you're favored of, and those are the ones you get to know first, and that would adjust what you eliminate as you're carving the tape down. All right? So, this leaves you with a pretty good tape. Once you've taken the whole tape, like I said, you go to Batch Geo and copy paste the tape in there and start mapping. Okay, have it a map. If you got 50, 60, 70 assets, it should map it relatively fast in a couple of minutes. Now, what do I do with that? Well, what do we do, guys? We look then for blighted properties, right? We look for houses that we've narrowed down and to see what the Google map view looks like. Now, we don't use that as a hard, fast, like realtor eyes for a drive-by. What we do use those for is I can guarantee you if a property is boarded up 2 years, 3 years ago, a year ago, it has not gotten any better. It's gotten uglier by the minute, all right? So those are frogs that we go ahead and kill off at that point, all right? Or we make a note, boarded up property, ugly, empty lot. There are some things that we get to, we run ads, mapped properties, expecting a house to be there, and it's just an empty lot. So those would be ones that I eliminate from the spreadsheet as well. Now that I've got a really cleaner spreadsheet by seeing pictures of the properties for the most part, that gives me more data to dive in to look at things. And once I have a clean tape like that, that would be where you would maybe either send the tape over to Liz Broomer Smith at Tape Techs and they can start doing their online due diligence for you, or you could dive in to your own stuff by checking up, rent rates on the properties, finding out, jumping on Zillow to find them in bed, baths, square foot. If a property is less than 1,000 square feet, we eliminate it. Not a big fan of those lower, smaller properties. Now, in some areas they make sense, but in a lot of areas of the country, it's just hard to move those type of assets. The only type of 1-1s that I like are condos. 2-1s it's got to be a condo for me to look at keeping it. Otherwise, I'm probably going to end up removing it for the most part. But we look at rent rates, and we compare the rent rates then to the existing mortgage payment. Is the rent rate higher than the existing mortgage payment? If that's the case, then we figure, okay, they got to reinstate and start making the payments on time. All right. If the rent rate is less than their mortgage payment, we know that we're probably going to have to drop their mortgage payment down to something that makes sense for them. And that will, if that number makes sense for me as far as what is a percentage of the asset that I'm buying at, as far as purchase price, great. So basically, I insert a couple columns. One, rent rates. I run an expected mod, expected reinstate, where I take the existing payment times 12 divided by the expected purchase price. Okay. Now, what if I'm not given a purchase price? If they don't give me the reserve price in the columns, like what they're looking for, I'll go ahead and ask pricing. Now, if they don't give me pricing specifics, I'll go ahead, insert a column in there, and then I'll just run a quick stair-step pricing model based on our expected fair market value. It's not, we try to get CMAs, but we're still initially like having the asset for the first hour. So we'll jump on Zillow, eAppraisal, and just get a rough idea, a rough value of what the asset is worth. And we'll adjust that depending on what the numbers come back in from our realtors as we dive into initial due diligence a little bit further along. But if it looks like it's worth 50 and it looks like it's a clean asset, great, we'll say 50. At that point, we'll apply a 55% stair-step price to that. So basically, a $50,000 asset, we'd be paying $27,500. If we pay $27,500 and their mortgage payment was $500, well, 500 times 12 is $6,000. We're adding a final column in there, take the 12 months of mortgage payments and divide that by the $27,500 to figure out what our rough ROI is. Now, if our rough high-end ROI is not at 25 or 30% or greater on a mod, we're probably not going to mod it. We probably look to foreclose deed in lieu. And so what we do next is we run a column at 90% of the fair market value minus the cost and figure out what a quick rough ROI is if we were to get a deed in lieu or foreclose on it. And now those numbers need to be at 25, 30% for us to keep it. Now, the last column we insert as a due diligence model is take the rent rates time 9 months, because we figured 3 months of vacancy expenses, divide that by the purchase price, and then divide that number by 2, because we figure it's going to be a 2-year time frame for that model. Okay, so hopefully in deed in lieu, we may add $3,500 in expenses to it. So if we're paying $27,500 and we add $3,500 to it, we're into it at $31,000 now. And if we got rent rate is $700 times 9 months is $6,300. $6,300 divided by $31,000 is still roughly a 20% ROI. So that's not our favorite thing to do for a rent rate. But as you can start seeing, it'll start adjusting numbers down the tape so we can identify the ones with the juicier returns for us as the ones that we spend more time focused on. All right. Got questions, comments coming in?
So Frank Fiora Jr. says, I think he's talking about another, what did you call him? Due diligence, like what Lisa Dugasman? Not Lisa Dugasman.
Lisa Brober Smith does?
Yeah, that's one. Lisa DeCastro, I think, is another one that he's saying. And he says, you're answering all my questions like you see my list. I guess he has a list going on.
Right. Now, as you're looking at the maps, if it's boarded up, get rid of it. If it's near a water treatment center, probably get rid of it because it'll smell like shit. If it's, you can tell a lot by looking aerial view of it. If it's on the outskirts of a town, like out in the boonies, get rid of it. If it's a rural property, get rid of it. If it's in an area that is bad, by jumping on Truly and seeing crime statistics, maybe get rid of it. If it's in a high orange area where there's a lot of crime and punishment and murders, get rid of it. There's plenty of assets out there that you don't have to do a skinny deal. All right? The reason you run these exit ROIs, rough ROIs, is to help you identify the thicker deals from the skinnier deals, okay? What are the questions we have? Anybody else?
Right now?
Cool. What questions do you also have? Now, on areas that we have multiple properties, that's then when we'll dive on Active Rating or Zillow.com and start reaching out to realtors to do drive-by CMAs for us. And even when the CMAs come back, we may carve out more. But initially, if we get down that smaller list where we've removed the ugly properties, the ROIs look good, we'll go ahead and submit an indicative offer, a quick, soft offering to the hedge fund. I always have a hard time saying indicative. Yeah, my tongue gets in the way. Anyway, I'll call it a soft offering. We'll submit it in. If the hedge fund wants pricing immediately, we try to get that in within 24 hours. If they've got a bidding process, we're like, hey, bids are due next week. We'll spend more time getting CMAs, talking to realtors, calling our mastermind students. Hey, can you drive by this property? You can jump on NAR RPR as well to take a look at stuff. You know, get the comps and NARRPR.com is a free website for realtors. It's pretty accurate in some areas. In some areas, it's not accurate at all. Like Texas, I would not use it in Texas, but I would use it in other areas of the country as well. So one of the great things that we'll do is if you want to catch me breaking down a tape tonight, I'm actually speaking tonight at 7 o'clock Central Time with Kimberly Banks Fawcett's DFW Note Closures Group. And we'll actually be breaking down a tape that we have just for the mastermind this weekend. Be breaking down the tape so people can start taking a look at, see what I do, see what we do to help expedite and narrow that number down as fast as possible.
We'll put that link when we get back.
Yeah, we'll put the link below. Pretty easy to do. One other thing too, everybody, if there's assets with equity, if a property we find value 200 and the UPB is 100 and the back payments added to the UPB come to like 150, we'll kill that. There's a lot of equity there that's not worth fighting the borrower for. It's just not worth the time to do that. A lot of people, why not? As traditional realtor or investors, I want properties with equity. Yeah, you do, but you're the bank in this situation. If you end up foreclosing, you're only going to be able to make an offering at what you're owed. Anything that gets bid above your bid price or what you're owed at the foreclosure auction, all that money goes back to the borrower, not to you. So it's not worth fighting somebody who has equity. I like negative equity, upside down properties. You don't want to give the borrower something, a leg up to fight for. You want to be their only chance to really stay in the property. Okay. Another thing to keep in mind if you're looking at rent rates and you see rent rates really at $500 or less, it's probably a rougher area. That's a filter for me in the Detroit, Michigan, Cleveland, Ohio, Columbus, Ohio areas. Rent is below $500 a month for a house. Doesn't mean you can't make money. It just means it might be a little harder. It might be a two-gun neighborhood or a bulletproof vest, Kevlar neighborhood maybe, okay? For you. Where cash is spelled with a big K. All right?
And a dollar sign.
And a dollar sign, yeah. Now, I do know a buddy of mine who made a lot of money in Gary, Indiana in the lower markets. He actually befriended the two main gang lords in the neighborhood. And there was a ceasefire on the 1st and the 3rd of the month because he was going around collecting rent. He would literally ride with the gang lord, have the gang lord ride with him and go around to all of his tenants and collect their rent money.
Wow,
At that
they
point.
paid on time after that.
They paid on time because he gave 10% to the gang lord for basically riding along. He actually told the cops.
He terrified them probably.
Well, yeah. So it's an interesting way. I don't know if it necessarily do it, but he was financed to the hilt on those properties, and then when the market changed, he couldn't get refinanced out and stuff like that. So that's what I would recommend. Anything below 500, especially in Michigan, Columbus, Cleveland, just don't waste your time with it. It's a rougher area, and that's an easy thing to tell on Zillow or rentalmeter.com as well. Good stuff, everybody. Everybody liking this? Hopefully they are.
Yeah, a lot of people are on right now.
Good. If you like this, make sure to share this across your Facebook pages as well. This has been helpful for all of you. Now, as a side note here, you guys will see an email from me come out later. We like to have a lot of fun here in the office. Okay? Obviously, when you got rubber ducks and you got freaking mariachi hats, okay, we like to have a lot of fun. And I think all you know that I like to poke fun at myself first and foremost without anything else. Okay? Sometimes when we do things, they maybe cross a little bit of a line. And this April Fool's Day on Saturday, we said something that crossed the line. Yes, we had an email go out poking fun at somebody in the industry. It's just a simple, just kind of, hey, make it ironic, April Fool's Day, talk about somebody who's speaking at an event, and obviously not. And I think some people took offense to that, the image first and foremost. So I wanted to officially apologize publicly about that. It was not our intent to piss anybody off. It was not our intent to make somebody look stupid. It was just us having a good time here at April Fools. So my sincere apology to Eddie. Have the utmost respect to Eddie Speed in his 33 years of business. Anybody that's been in business that long and gone through as many cycles between the market, you have to respect. We do look forward to working with him on some other things. We've had some conversations about doing some stuff, some co-marketing, some different events. So that's my official apology regarding Eddie Speed. Did not mean anything derogatory, just all good fun and humor. And I do look forward to doing some cool things like with him in the future, especially on the Seller Finance Coalition that you guys should take a look at that's going on. Eddie's doing a lot of stuff to fight the fight on that, along with Jeff Watson on Capitol Hill. They're doing some stuff here in Texas just recently. That there was a webinar on it on Monday about that as well. So anyway, we try to dance a line, as I say. I'm not going to put Eddie's photo on a Cupid or a Chippendales or anything like that. We have a good time here. So that's my official pop. Eddie has never attended one of my workshops. I've never attended one of his workshops. So we both owe our own success to ourselves versus other people, which is something common. So that's my apology out there. If you are looking for an event, we do have our Note Camp coming up in 2 weeks, everybody.
Yeah.
Golly, 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Wow. So get signed up for that. If you're looking to go to an actual live event, in-person event to network with people, No Camp is live and online, and we've got a couple hundred people already signed up for it, and we have some great networking. But if you're looking for so we can go shake hands, then I would probably check out Eddie's Note Expo event, either October or November, whenever he has it. Check it out at notexpo.com. So, otherwise, get signed up for Note Camp at notecamp.live. If there's any other questions or comments from people, then guys, have a great Wednesday. Go make something happen, and we'll see you all at the top.